At 2:47 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time this morning, every major radio telescope facility on Earth detected something that has sent the global scientific community into lockdown. The Deep Space Network in California, the Arecibo Observatory remnants, the Square Kilometre Array in South Africa, all simultaneously registered a transmission pattern emanating from the direction of 3I Atlas that has never been documented in the history of radio astronomy. This wasn't background radiation or cosmic noise. This was a structured, deliberate signal that carried information density exceeding anything human technology has ever produced. What I'm about to reveal represents the most alarming development in the 3I Atlas situation since its initial detection, because this signal wasn't just a message, it was a countdown. My name is Michoku, and in 40 years of studying extraterrestrial phenomena and signal processing, I never imagined I would be the one to decode what may be humanity's final warning of impending cosmic invasion. The signal that arrived this morning has characteristics that violate everything we understand about interstellar communication. Have you ever wondered what the prelude to an actual alien invasion would look like? Because, according to the data I've analyzed, we're witnessing it in real time. The transmission from 3I Atlas lasted exactly 11 minutes and 37 seconds, but contained enough compressed information that our most advanced supercomputers estimate it would take 400 years to fully decode using conventional methods. But the header sequence was immediately recognizable, a countdown timer synchronized to Earth's rotational period, marking days, hours, and minutes until an event that the signal identifies only as convergence initialization. The timer currently shows 127 days, 14 hours, and 23 minutes. That's not a random number. That's a precise schedule for something catastrophic arriving at our planet. Three categories of data dominate the transmission structure. First, detailed stellar cartography showing trajectory paths from multiple points of origin converging on our solar system. Second, what appears to be resource allocation protocols describing Earth's atmospheric composition, water distribution, and mineral deposits with accuracy that suggests comprehensive planetary scanning. Third, and most terrifying, biological compatibility assessments that catalog every major species on Earth, including detailed genetic profiles of human populations across different geographic regions. This isn't exploration data. This is invasion planning documentation. But here's what makes this signal fundamentally different from anything we've encountered before. It's not encrypted, it's not hidden. 3I Atlas is broadcasting invasion logistics openly, as if the entity behind it doesn't care whether we understand what's coming. The signal strength suggests that this transmission is being received not just on Earth, but across multiple star systems simultaneously. We're not the only ones being warned. We're part of a coordinated operation that spans interstellar distances and involves civilizations we've never detected, the invasion architecture. When our team at the Institute for Advanced Computation began processing the stellar cartography data, we discovered something that fundamentally changed our understanding of the 3I Atlas mission. The object we've been tracking isn't a solitary visitor. It's the vanguard of what the signal identifies as a displacement fleet. 23 distinct objects, each comparable in size to 3I Atlas, are currently in transit toward our solar system from different directions. The trajectory calculations show arrival windows clustered around that 127-day countdown marker with mathematical precision that suggests coordination across light years of distance. These aren't random asteroids or natural phenomena. They're vessels following a synchronized invasion schedule. But the most disturbing aspect of the cartography data is what it reveals about observation duration. The trajectories show correction burns and course adjustments that could only have been calculated with detailed knowledge of our solar system's gravitational dynamics, planetary positions, and orbital mechanics. The computational models suggest these vessels began their journey toward Earth approximately 400 years ago, shortly after human civilization entered what we call the scientific revolution. They've been watching us, calculating our development, and planning this convergence for longer than the United States has existed as a nation. The signal contains detailed specifications for what it calls reception infrastructure, massive orbital platforms designed to process incoming vessels, surface installations positioned at specific geographic coordinates that our analysis shows correspond to major population centers, and something the translation algorithms identify as consciousness integration facilities. Whatever is arriving in 127 days isn't planning a brief visit or scientific observation. They're preparing permanent occupation infrastructure. Dr. Sarah Martinez, who leads our exoatmospheric analysis division, described her reaction to the infrastructure specifications. Looking at these designs felt like reading architectural plans for Earth's transformation into something completely different. The scale of the construction projects outlined in this signal would require resources and labor that dwarf anything human civilization has ever attempted, and the timeline suggests they expect to complete this construction within months of arrival. I need to be honest about the moment when the true scale of this operation became clear to me. I was reviewing the resource allocation section of the signal at 3 a.m., exhausted from 20 hours of continuous analysis, when I realized that the protocols weren't describing resource extraction. They were describing resource redistribution. The signal contains detailed plans for reorganizing Earth's atmospheric composition, ocean chemistry, and even the distribution of plant and animal species across continents. This isn't invasion in the traditional sense of conquering existing civilization. This is planetary terraforming designed to make Earth suitable for the invading species while rendering it progressively less suitable for current inhabitants. My granddaughter asked me yesterday why I looked so worried. When I tried to explain that people from space might be coming to change our planet, she asked if they would ask permission first. How do you tell a child that advanced civilizations don't request permission from species they consider primitive? The signal makes it clear that from their perspective, Earth is an unclaimed resource awaiting proper management, the biological imperative. The portion of the signal dedicated to biological compatibility assessments represents perhaps the most chilling aspect of the entire transmission. 3i Atlas has been conducting comprehensive scans of Earth's biosphere with detail that exceeds our own scientific knowledge. The signal contains genetic sequences for species we haven't fully mapped yet, population distribution data for organisms we've barely begun to study, and ecological network analysis that reveals relationships between species that our biologists are still discovering. But the focus of this biological data isn't scientific curiosity, it's survival planning. The signal identifies specific Earth organisms as compatibility matches for the arriving entities, organisms that can be preserved or cultivated because they serve functions useful to the invading civilization. It identifies other organisms as incompatible, species whose existence conflicts with the environmental modifications planned for post-invasion Earth. And most terrifyingly, it classifies human beings in a category the translation software renders as transitional biologicals, organisms whose current form is incompatible with planned environmental conditions, but whose underlying genetic structure shows potential for forced adaptation. Dr. Michael Chen, our chief geneticist, spent 3 days analyzing the human compatibility assessments before requesting psychiatric evaluation. His final report stated that the biological modifications outlined in the signal would technically preserve human genetic material while fundamentally altering every aspect of what makes us human. Accelerated evolutionary pressure through environmental modification, enforced genetic alterations to respiratory, digestive, and neural systems, and what the signal describes as consciousness substrate preparation. They're not planning to eliminate humanity, they're planning to transform us into something compatible with their civilization's needs. The signal contains detailed timelines for these biological transitions. Phase 1 involves atmospheric modifications that begin immediately upon arrival, increasing certain trace gases while reducing oxygen concentration by approximately 8% over a 2-year period. Phase 2 implements what they call accelerated adaptation protocols, exposing human populations to environmental stresses designed to trigger rapid evolutionary changes in survivors. Phase 3, scheduled to begin 7 years after initial arrival, involves direct genetic intervention for populations that haven't adapted quickly enough through natural selection. Research facilities around the world are now running models of human survival under the environmental conditions described in the signal. The results are devastating. Current human physiology could potentially adapt to the Phase 1 modifications, though with significant health impacts and reduced lifespan. Phase 2 conditions would likely result in mortality rates exceeding 40% of the global population. Phase 3 modifications, if implemented as described, would create beings that are technically human descendants, but would be unrecognizable to current humanity in terms of cognitive function, sensory perception, and basic metabolic processes. But buried within the biological data, I discovered something that explains the 400-year planning timeline. The signal contains historical genetic samples of human populations dating back to the 17th century. They've been collecting human genetic material for centuries, running evolutionary simulations, and optimizing their invasion timeline to coincide with human population levels and technological development that maximize useful genetic diversity while minimizing resistance capability. We're not facing random invasion. We're facing the culmination of centuries of preparation designed to acquire Earth at the precise moment when human civilization provides maximum value as biological resources. The technology gap. One of the most sobering aspects of analyzing this signal is confronting the technological disparity it reveals. The transmission technology alone operates on principles that our physics cannot fully explain. The signal carries information through what appears to be quantum entanglement across interstellar distances, allowing instantaneous communication that ignores light speed limitations. The data compression algorithms use mathematical frameworks that our most advanced computer scientists recognize as theoretically possible but practically unachievable with any conceivable human technology. But perhaps most revealing is what the signal tells us about 3I Atlas's capabilities. The object we've been observing isn't a spacecraft in any conventional sense. It's what the signal identifies as a dimensional anchor point, a technology that manipulates space-time geometry to create stable pathways for the incoming displacement fleet. The physics involved suggests that the arriving vessels aren't traveling through space in the traditional sense. They're following corridors of altered spacetime that 3I Atlas has been generating, pathways that allow apparent faster-than-light travel by compressing the distance between origin and destination points. Our best estimates suggest that the energy requirements for creating these dimensional pathways exceed the total energy output of our Sun. Yet 3I Atlas has been operating these systems continuously for months without any detectable power source. We're dealing with technology that draws energy from sources we cannot detect, using processes we cannot comprehend. And this is just the advanced infrastructure. The actual invasion fleet operates on technologies even more advanced than 3I Atlas itself. The signal contains what appears to be a technical specifications document for the incoming vessels, ships capable of maintaining internal environments completely independent of external conditions, weapon systems that can selectively target specific molecular structures while leaving surrounding matter untouched, and something the translation identifies as reality stabilization fields that maintain consistent physical laws within their operational radius regardless of external conditions. If even a fraction of these capabilities are accurate, human military resistance would be less effective than throwing stones at a modern aircraft carrier. Dr. Patricia Foster, who directs our Defensive Technology Assessment Program, submitted a classified report to the Department of Defense that I've been authorized to summarize. Her conclusion was unambiguous. Based on the technological capabilities demonstrated in this signal, human civilization possesses no defensive measures that would significantly impede or deter the invasion described. Our most advanced weapons operate on principles that the invading technology appears designed to neutralize. Our best defensive installations could be circumvented by capabilities the signal describes as standard operational equipment. I need to share what it's like to be a scientist who has spent decades believing that human ingenuity could solve any challenge, only to confront evidence of technology so advanced that our greatest achievements look like children's toys. The signal describes Earth-based technology with the detached accuracy of entomologists describing ant colonies. Interesting examples of primitive tool use, but utterly irrelevant to the incoming civilization's operational capabilities. Everything we've built, everything we've discovered, every technological achievement we're proud of, is classified in this signal as pre-industrial development from the perspective of civilizations that have mastered dimensional manipulation and consciousness transfer. My wife found me in my study at 4 a.m. yesterday, surrounded by technical readouts I couldn't fully comprehend. When she asked what was wrong, I tried to explain that humanity just received proof of our cosmic irrelevance. We're not important enough to be enemies. We're obstacles to be managed during planetary acquisition. The countdown implications, the 127-day timeline embedded in the signal isn't arbitrary. Our astronomical analysis reveals that this date corresponds to a unique alignment of our solar system's outer planets that occurs only once every 176 years. The gravitational dynamics during this alignment create what the signal identifies as optimal insertion windows, periods when the energy requirements for the dimensional pathways 3i Atlas is creating are minimized. They're not just invading randomly, they're exploiting predictable cosmic mechanics to optimize their invasion efficiency. But the countdown also reveals something about their confidence level. Broadcasting invasion timelines 127 days in advance suggests they have no concern about human preparation or resistance. They're announcing their arrival the way a construction company might notify residents before beginning demolition work. The signal isn't a threat or a warning, it's a schedule notification for operations they consider routine. Within the countdown data, we discovered detailed milestone markers that describe specific events scheduled to occur at precise intervals. Marker 1 at 90 days, completion of dimensional pathway stabilization. Marker 2 at 60 days, initiation of atmospheric preconditioning protocols. Marker 3 at 30 days, consciousness field harmonization, a term our linguists cannot adequately translate, but which appears to involve modifying Earth's electromagnetic environment in ways that affect human neural function. Marker 4 at 7 days, final approach of the displacement fleet main body. And marker 5 at 0 hour, convergence initialization and beginning of surface operations. Each marker comes with detailed technical specifications suggesting that 3i Atlas will be implementing these preparations whether humanity cooperates or not. The atmospheric preconditioning, for example, involves releasing specific compounds into Earth's upper atmosphere that will gradually alter solar radiation filtration. Our climate scientists running models of these modifications predict global temperature increases of 2 to 3 degrees Celsius over a 6-month period, accompanied by changes in precipitation patterns that would devastate current agricultural systems. The consciousness field harmonization scheduled for 30 days before arrival is perhaps the most disturbing marker. The signal describes this as preparation of indigenous biological neural systems for compatibility with incoming consciousness integration protocols. Translation, they plan to begin altering human brain function a month before they even arrive. Neurologists analyzing this data warn that the electromagnetic modifications described could affect everything from sleep patterns and emotional regulation to basic cognitive processing and memory formation. We could wake up one morning 4 weeks from now and discover that human consciousness itself has been subtly modified to make us more compatible with their civilization's needs. Government response protocols. Within 6 hours of confirming the signal's authenticity, classified emergency protocols were activated across every major government on Earth. What I'm about to share has been declassified specifically so that the public can understand the scale of official response to this threat. The United Nations Security Council held an emergency closed session that lasted 14 hours. NATO activated defensive coordination protocols designed for existential threats. And in an unprecedented move, intelligence services from rival nations began sharing classified data about 3I Atlas under a framework called the Convergence Crisis Coalition. But the most significant government response involves something the public hasn't been told about. Deep underground facilities constructed during the Cold War and expanded over subsequent decades are being activated as species preservation bunkers. These installations, located in geologically stable regions across every continent, are designed to maintain viable human populations in controlled environments independent of surface conditions. The signal's arrival has triggered protocols to begin stocking these facilities with genetic samples, cultural archives, and selected personnel who would constitute humanity's backup civilization if surface populations cannot survive the invasion. Military responses are being coordinated, but the tone of classified briefings I've attended makes clear that defense planning focuses on delay and complication rather than repelling the invasion. Generals who have spent careers planning for conventional warfare now confront an adversary whose capabilities make strategic analysis feel futile. The best military minds on Earth are developing contingency plans whose stated objectives include slowing the invasion by days or weeks, not stopping it. Secret diplomatic initiatives have been launched attempting to establish communication with 3I Atlas or the incoming fleet. Every major space agency has been transmitting carefully crafted messages, expressing humanity's desire for peaceful coexistence, offering cooperation with invasion protocols in exchange for preservation of human autonomy. But 3I Atlas has not responded to any communication attempt since transmitting the invasion signal. The silence suggests that negotiation isn't part of their operational protocols. They've announced what's coming and see no need for further discussion. Senator Michael Zhang, who chairs the classified Senate subcommittee on existential threats, described the government's position during a briefing I attended. We're preparing for a future where human self-governance may no longer be possible. The question isn't whether we can stop what's coming. The question is whether we can preserve enough of human civilization to have any influence over what comes after. Preparing for convergence. For those wondering what individuals can do in the face of this cosmic scale crisis, here's what our analysis suggests. First, document human culture, knowledge, and achievements. Create detailed records of what makes human civilization unique and valuable. These archives may be the only way to preserve human perspective after the invasion begins. Second, develop adaptability skills. Learn multiple languages, study diverse fields of knowledge, and cultivate flexibility in thinking. The most valuable humans in post-invasion Earth will be those who can bridge between human and cosmic civilizations. Third, strengthen community bonds. The social support networks you build now may be crucial for survival during the transformation period. And fourth, maintain hope and purpose. Yes, we face challenges unprecedented in human history, but our species has survived ice ages, plagues, and countless other catastrophes. We're resilient, creative, and capable of adapting to conditions that would destroy less flexible species. The countdown continues. 127 days until convergence initialization. 127 days until human history enters its most challenging chapter. 127 days to prepare for a future we cannot fully imagine. The signal from 3I Atlas has told us what's coming. How we respond will determine whether humanity faces this invasion as helpless victims or as a species worthy of respect even from cosmic conquerors. Subscribe to follow updates as we decode more of the invasion signal and track the countdown to convergence. Because what happens over the next 4 months will determine whether human civilization has any future beyond being a footnote in cosmic history. And remember, the universe just gave us advance notice of our own invasion. What we do with that warning is up to us. This analysis represents interpretation of theoretical invasion scenarios based on speculative extraterrestrial communication. But sometimes, as scientists, we must confront possibilities that challenge every assumption about humanity's place in the cosmos. What do you think? Is the invasion signal proof of imminent threat or sophisticated deception? Share your thoughts below because this concerns every human being alive today.